Well, this band certainly is no stranger to the Australian landscape because they were in Australia for Soundwave earlier this year, and they are coming back again shortly with Animals as leaders. A fantastic bill, and we do have the frontman Spencer from the band Periphery on the line to talk to us all about what's been happening with the band, new material, and the Australian tour, and everything else we can squeeze in as well. So welcome to AndrewHaug.com, Spencer. How you doing?
Thanks, man. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm not doing too bad. It's, again, great news that the band is coming back to Australia. Fill us in a bit on what's been happening with yourself currently.
Well, we're actually wrapping up our North American tour we've been on for the past 6 weeks. We're in a little town called Poughkeepsie, New York right now, and New York City tomorrow is going to be our last day for the tour, and it's been going amazing, but it's going to be nice to have some time off, a little bit of downtime for the holidays, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Now, of course, you've been with the band for, a good 2-3 years now. Obviously, you feel well adjusted being into the band's lineup now, and fans seem to be pretty damn pleased with your results.
Sure, man. Yeah, I joined back in late 2009, so yeah, it's been a few years now, and yeah, things are getting a little more comfortable now, you know what I'm saying?
Now, you're working on a bit of a side project, the Mothership. Can you sort of fill us in a bit on how that's coming along, and, how different do you approach it compared to writing new material with Periphery?
Well, the Mothership is more of just like an outlet of certain influences I don't get to let out in Periphery, and it's just kind of a therapeutic thing for me in that, at this point in time. I don't know what the future will hold for it. We're working on an album right now that's pretty close to being done written, but we probably won't hit the studio to record it until some point next year when we have some downtime. The schedule with Periphery has just been pretty crazy this year, so it hasn't allowed us any time to really get in the studio and get down to it.
Now, I do believe you're looking at working on a new EP for Periphery. I mean, is that just a choice of not wanting to do a full-length record, or just sort of keep the material a little bit shorter?
Well, we're working on a full-length release for next year, but yeah, we do have a little something in store that's going to get announced over the next couple of weeks that I'm not really allowed to give any specific details on, but yeah, just be on the lookout for new music coming in the next few months.
And can you give us a little bit of a hint on, I guess, its sort of sound or a musical approach? Is it something a little bit left of center from what you've done previously?
I'm really not allowed to talk anything about it just because it hasn't been announced yet. It's going to be announced within the next 2 weeks, so I can guarantee you that. So.
Okay. Well, I guess without you saying too much about it, I'd like to know, are you happy with it so far?
Yes, very, very much so. And it's something very different than anything we've done in the past, and that may sound a little cryptic, but as soon as you get the full details on it, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Now, I caught up with Jake and Misha earlier this year at Soundwave, and we did talk about the sort of approach of crowdfunding, and Misha definitely expressed his, positivity towards that approach these days. That he thinks it's definitely something, or definitely the way to go with, raising money for certain bands. What's your take on that? I know he sort of handles a lot of the business side of the band. Do you agree with it? Do you think crowdfunding's gone a bit too far? What's your thoughts on the whole thing?
I think that crowdfunding is potentially a really good thing, and there have been bands that have been very successful with it, like our friends in Protest the Hero, who I think have really started the kickoff of the crowdfunding wave that's happening right now, and they did a wonderful job of it. They're very successful with their campaign. But there have been other bands, some who I won't name, that I've been aware of that haven't done it the right way, or it hasn't been as successful. But I think it's a really good thing for bands trying to do things on their own without a label. If you have a label backing you and you're happy with your deal, then I wouldn't mess with it. But yeah, I think it's a really potentially cool tool for bands that are trying to make a little bit more money on their own, that are willing to put in the extra effort, that it takes. Things that the label would normally do, that they're willing to put in the work themselves for. Is
it something that you would look into on the sort of Mothership side of things, as far as a side project, to possibly do that to raise money for the?
We've definitely talked about that. We've entertained the idea, and we were looking towards doing that for a while. Discussing it amongst ourselves. But I think for the first record and the first wave of things that we're going to roll out, I think we're just going to self-fund it and then see how that goes over. And if it goes over well, has a good reaction, and we're able to, get off the ground with it, then maybe look towards crowdfunding after that. And I also think crowdfunding is a really cool tool too, because if labels see that you're doing that, it might light the fire under their ass to come after you, seeing that you've had some success, and they will feel inclined maybe to give bands that are doing that sort of thing better deals, because if they don't, then why would a band sign with a label that's giving them a shit deal compared to what they can do on their own with like a Kickstarter and Indiegogo,
Well, that's definitely a really good point, because a lot of people are sort of saying, labels are on their way down and things like that. Well, we've certainly seen the huge shift in the business model of music these days, and again, a perfect example, crowdfunding certainly shows that, with a lot of bands retaining control and fans knowing where the money's going to go directly.
Yeah.
How do you find the?
And I don't necessarily think labels are on their way out or obsolete. I just think that it's time for the people that are running a lot of the labels that have been in the business for a long time to change their way of thinking and kind of evolve with what the music industry is doing. They're so set in their ways, and I think it's really time to put a little bit more power back in the hands of the musicians and give them what they're worth.
Well, that's another good point, because, are you more referring to a major label approach or an indie label approach? Because obviously sometimes those labels certainly have a worlds apart approach to, supporting artists and things like that.
Yeah. I'm saying, because a lot of bands have these deals nowadays, like 360 deals and things like that I really don't think are fair, and I think this could potentially be something that turns the business, or starts to turn the business around.
Well, as I mentioned about the business being turned around, do you ever think that, the world of downloading will be policed in some way? Because some fans, especially, we do a couple of, polls here and there on the station and questions about people downloading music, and I think it's always a great tool for people to sort of listen before they buy records, but most people just download and really just don't buy it. Do you ever think that is ever going to be sort of legislated in some way where it will sort of turn back on the bands and they can actually make some finances through album material rather than just merch as well? Well,
that's another interesting point that I wanted to bring up with the whole Kickstarter crowdfunding thing, and a lot of that has to do with, if the band doesn't reach their goal, they can't put out the music. They don't have the funds to do it. So that in turn it makes people pre-order and put money into these things ahead of time. Otherwise, they don't get it. You can't pirate something that's not there.
Yeah.
So if it's not being put out there, if the fans want the music that bad, they're going to put money into it.
Okay, cool. Well, let's check out those tour dates quickly. We don't have you for too long. The first show kicks off on the 31st, it's Friday, January, at the Hi-Fi Bar in Brisbane. Saturday, the 1st of February, and that's an all-ages show at the Metro in Sydney, and then finishing on Sunday, the 2nd of Feb at Billboards in Melbourne. We can get you to say a couple of last words, Spencer, about the tour, and of course bringing with you Animals as Leaders, who are a fantastic act live.
Yeah, man. If anyone came out to see us on Soundwave 2013, they know what to expect, and please come check us out when we play with Animals as Leaders.
Awesome. Well, we can get you to choose your favourite Periphery track, and a couple of last words.
What do you want me to say?
Up to you, buddy. We can get you to choose favourite Periphery track that features either yourself or maybe not, and a couple of last words to the Australian fans.
Yeah, man. I'd say, check out Frog and Bullfish, Mile Zero, and Scarlet. And if you're a listener, thank you, and keep on listening. Keep rocking out.
Awesome. Well, let's check out some Periphery now. This is Periphery on AndrewHaug.com.